Thanks.
I'm just going to reach around and start the other machine.
Sure. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for braving the storm to come here to honor Renee E.Friedman today. Beloved daughter of Sadie and Sam, beloved sister of Marvin and Jackie, beloved aunt of Lee and Donna and Pamela, beloved great aunt to Carly and Jason, Jeremy and Lindsay, Corey and Jason, beloved great aunt to Blake, Haley and Hayden, and beloved friend and companion to so many. We'll begin today by reciting traditional words of comfort in the face of loss and heartache. Psalm 23, which I'll recite in Hebrew and in English. Thanks. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai ro'i lo echsar, binot deshe yarbitzeni, al mei menuchot yinahaleni, nafshi yeshovev, yancheni b'ma'aglei tzedek leman shemo, gam ki elech begates al mavet, lo ira ra ki ata imadi, shivtecha umishantecha hema yanachamuni, ta'aroch lefanai shulchan neged sororai, Dishanta v'shemen roshi kosi revaya, achtov v'chesed yirdbafuni kol yemei chayai, v'shavti beveit Adonai le'orech yamim. A Psalm of David, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures, he leads me beside the still waters, he restores my soul. He guides me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. One more reading together. You may be more familiar with this one. A season is set for everything. To everything turn, turn, turn. A time for every experience under heaven. A time for planting and a time for reaping. A time for keeping and a time for discarding. A time for loving and a time for hating. A time for embracing and a time for refraining. A time for slaying and a time for healing, a time for laughing and a time for weeping, a time for dancing and a time for wailing, a time for birthing and a time for dying, a time for speaking and a time for silence, a time for seeking and a time for losing. As the Israelites are wandering in the wilderness, God tells them to build a sanctuary so that God can dwell among them. And so they do. They build this portable sanctuary with the help of certain artists endowed with God-given talent called Ruach Elohim, which literally means the Spirit of God. Every single Israelite gives gifts towards its construction. They give and they give and they give until Moses actually has to tell everyone to stop giving. They've given more than enough. Renee was an artist blessed with Ruach Elohim, the Spirit of God. And she had so many gifts to share with her family and friends whom she regarded as family. Often those were literal gifts, usually her own eclectic handmade crafts. Carly, Jeremy, Corey, and Jason told me that she used to say, I don't need to send gifts on birthdays. I send gifts all the time. She gave and she gave and she gave until her declining health told her it was time to stop giving, that she had given more than enough. Renee was a skilled artist who built a family of relatives and dear friends, which is its own kind of traveling sanctuary where God dwells, and which accompanied her so lovingly throughout her life. Renee loved to travel and spent her early professional career working for the Israeli airline El Al before moving on to work at the Greens of Lyndhurst Nursing and Rehab Center. But despite her wanderlust, she was rooted to Cleveland, where she grew up. She was rooted in the house she lived in all her life, which her father Sam built himself. And she was rooted to her beloved group of lifelong friends, Marlene Sobel, who's also her cousin, Marlene Rose, Sally, Diane, and Sandy, as well as so many others, who were like sisters to her from a very young age. Renee never married and never had kids. Her friends were her world, and she always looked forward to the next outing to Nordstrom or to Wendy's, or to her other favorite destination, Joanne Fabrics and Michael's. Those close to Renee felt her love. For one thing, she wasn't particularly bashful about sharing what she thought or felt. She didn't hold back what she wanted to say, which always came from a place of love. She'd make you feel that love by flooding your voicemails with message after message, just saying hello, with flooding literally the cemetery right now, or in the way she struggled in her declining strength to make one last craft for her great-great-nephew Hayden. Hayden, whose cheeks she'd pinched so hard he'd cry, which is a sure sign that he felt her love too. As did Haley and Blake, as did Jill, all of whom she adored. Renee was particular. Jeremy remembers Yorkie shopping with Renee, who examined each teacup-sized dog with her artist's eye and said, "This one's hair is too long," or "This one's ears don't stand up by themselves." But when she found the right companion, like Pixie, she was all in. Renee wasn't just particular with dogs. It seemed that only one man ever truly met her highest of standards. Renee loved Bill, and they took care of each other. But Bill had some years on her, and when he proposed to her, Renee, like the straight shooter she was, replied, "I don't want to marry someone that old." And Renee felt your love too. Without the benefit of close, immediate family, Renee relied on her great niece, cousin, and nephews, and her friends as her health declined. And you stepped up so admirably, selflessly, and lovingly to provide for her needs as best you could. Like diligently searching for the limited food items she could still enjoy after pulmonary fibrosis impacted her sense of taste, which was mostly just Heinen's Chicken Romano. And Diet Gold Peak Zero Sugar Iced Tea, which Carly once browsed 3 different stores to find. Renee faced a number of health challenges in her life. She was a survivor of breast cancer. Strong and independent, she overcame so many obstacles life threw in her way, and she always valued being able to live on her own. She was endowed with a unique and strong spirit, Ruach Elohim, the Spirit of God. She was gifted with an ability to build a truly sacred community around her. That community is here right now, a portable sanctuary. And that community is joining us virtually as well, or we'll be able to watch afterwards. As we lay Renee to rest, we send her off lovingly into the world to come, to her beloved Bill, and to everyone waiting for her on the other side. For our own part, down here, we have the opportunity to be the bearers and keepers of Renee's many gifts, to keep her memory alive through us, and live our lives the way she would have wanted us to, which I think is to give and give and give, like she did, until it's more than enough. To build a sanctuary of family and friends with whom to travel and grow old, where God can dwell. And maybe we can all be a little more particular, too, a little more honest and open about how we feel, and to love each other more audaciously, because life is short, but impact, like Renee's, lasts forever. We continue now with El Malei Rachamim, our tradition's memorial prayer.
Those who are able to rise, please.
Please rise if you're able. Thank you.
Carly, your mom can stay seated. No, it's easier. Let her stay seated. Now, Sally, sit.
You don't have to. You don't have to. El male rachamim shochein mamromim Hamtzei menucha nechona tachat kanfei ashchina B'malot kadoshim uteorim Kezohar arakia mazhirim Anishmat Renee bat Sadie Shehalcha leolama Began Eden tehei menuchata Ana bal harachamim Hasirea beseter knafecha leolamim Utzror bitzror hachayim Et nishmata Adonai hu nachalata V'tanuach b'shalom al mishkava V'nomar Amen. We're going to continue now with the next part of the ceremony of the funeral, which is to actually lay her to rest. We're going to lower the casket. And yeah, oh, of course, Carly wants to share some words.
Oh, okay. Well,
Sorry, I just want to share something. It just kind of...
Yeah.
Rabbi asked me if I wanted to speak, and I said no. I just didn't think I could do it, and then I don't know as you can't hear me?
No.
And you can be seated if you want. You can be seated.
But I feel like I need to say something. When Mom got sick, the world felt very lonely. I had my husband, my friends, but when you have an ill parent and someone that doesn't feel good, it can just be, you kind of feel alone sometimes. Some of you might be able to relate to that. And my Aunt Renee would call me multiple times a week to check in to see how I was doing. And to the point where she was even checking in and then, throwing in, can you go on Amazon and order me this? Sure, no problem. And then came the request of, can you find me a box sardine can necklace that has 3 fish in it? And I think you can only get it in Portugal, but can you go find that for me? I mean, it literally became like a wish list, and I was like, sure, no problem. I love being a personal shopper. But besides that, my aunt had a way that I've never met somebody so sensitive, right? Her friends would just cry. It'd be like, the sun is out, and a tear would stream down her face. But it's very rare in life you find people that show emotion like that. And that emotion was paid to so many others in so many ways, even if they didn't always like what she said. But she always knew how to kind of get you. She always had a way to just, for me personally, when we would talk, she just always had a way of making me feel better, even if I didn't want to hear it, right? And some of you know what I'm talking about, but I'm glad she's not suffering anymore. My cousins and my brother and others, Yana, I don't know if Michelle's here, folks that went to see her, I can't thank you enough for taking such great care of her when she was at her worst. And I know, even though she maybe didn't seem like she appreciated it, if she was herself, she would have said thank you too. And I'm just glad she's with my great-grandparents and my grandpa and, and Bill. So I don't want to hold this up, but I felt like if I didn't say this, I wouldn't be kind of closing, right, and have this closure. So I just want her to be happy again and feel good. So thank you.
We're going to lower the casket now, and in Jewish tradition, the community all takes part in tucking in our beloved, our deceased, our loved ones. And so those who feel up for it will invite you to help shovel dirt. It's interesting, in Jewish tradition, it actually is considered the greatest possible act of loving kindness, is chesed shel emet, which is burying our departed loved ones, because it's the only mitzvah, commandment, act of kindness that can't possibly be reciprocated. And as we begin to shovel dirt, there actually is another tradition, which is that the first shovel is inverted to exemplify our hesitance, our reluctance to have to carry out this holy task, and the other two are right side up. If you feel that would be meaningful, you're welcome to give that a try. May Renee go to God in peace.
Oh, I thought